Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Are you giving the gift of peace this holiday season? And do you know what that looks like? It looks like taking care of a grieving family by having finances in order for them to continue on without you. It looks like having a written plan of action for what to happen and how to care for your family after your death. There is a peace of mind in those plans that cannot be overlooked. And that peace is found in the power of the law when it comes to estate planning. And here are 3 ways that you can use this great power to work in your favor. First, put a plan in place for your estate. This way, your family is not rushing to pay bills, they're not rushing to go to court and fight it out. They can get through the funeral without worrying about costs, and they can even get to the funeral without worrying where or how you will be buried. True story. A few years ago, I had a call into my office uh, about a sister, I think it was, needing some resolution how and where to bury her brother because they couldn't agree. And when I mean they, yeah, I mean her as sister and his family, and then wife. I mean, there's nothing there, and so what happened? The body had to be stored in the morgue. So he doesn't have a final resting place. The family is in chaos. There's nothing there. That's not peace. That is total chaos. It's grief on top of grief of already losing a loved one. Having a plan in place, whether it's in a written will, whether it's in the trust, whether you just have something noted about the funeral, you can put that plan in place so that you can avoid these very common but unnecessary and harmful scenarios from happening to your family when the time comes. Second is you can put a plan in place for powers of attorney. These are documents that dictate within life. So, whereas a will and a trust, especially a will will only be effective after death. A trust can be effective um, in life as well, but powers of attorney will expire at the time of death. So, those are things that you really want to use while you're still alive. Putting a plan in place, having powers of attorney in place are so critical. They provide so much peace of mind because you avoid worrying about how to access funds for medical expenses. If you name someone as a power of attorney, you're therefore giving them the right to pay for medical bills that you can't get to because you're too weak, things of that nature. With the power of attorney, you don't have to fight over your medical care or your final rights and wishes at your deathbed because your power of attorney, your agent under the power of attorney, will have your written wishes. They'll know what kind of care you want. They'll know what kind of care you don't want, whether to pull the plug or not. All that can be written within a power of attorney, a very good one. And also, when it comes to um, life-saving procedures, a lot of time people ask, well, I don't want to be on the plug. I do want to be on the plug. All of that can be stored and documented properly within a power of attorney. And that way also your family doesn't have to fight over that. They don't have to fight over whether to pull you off the plug or not. And then finally, power of attorney will also avoid you ending up in probate court to try to solve any disputes that come up. Because especially with powers of attorney, if you're unable to make a decision for yourself, whether due to mental incapacity or you're just so physically weak and tired that you can't even store the mental energy to act for yourself, then in those cases, really the only alternative is probate court. And when it comes to that, the alternatives of guardianship for physical health and conservatorship for your financial well being are, well, they can be disastrous. They can cost a lot of money. They can last for months. There's no peace in that because there's no control in that. Everything is kind of by the court to be approved. A lot of administration, a lot of expenses, a lot of hassle and stress that you don't need by putting a power of attorney in place up front and protecting the peace on the front end. You'll sacrifice it on the back end if not. And finally, you can have a plan in place for notifying the people. Let the people know where your plans are. Okay, we've talked about this in a series of videos since November began, I believe. So if you go back and look at them and review them, you'll know just how important it is to notify people of your plans, people that you can trust. So not just anybody, but trusted individuals that you believe will carry out your wishes, people who are stern, firm, and compassionate, okay? They will stand on what not they believe in, but they will stand on principle and they will honor your instructions. And to have these kind of individuals in your corner is necessary because they will be able to stand up to people who would otherwise try to take over and take control. Once again, so many times I've seen throughout the years, just two that come to mind within the last year, where there's been a will. Okay, there's been a will in both of these situations, but there's been one dominant individual who's trying to exert their control over everything, and their control is like so out of control that it doesn't make any sense because their interest is really this big, but they're trying to exert this much power. Okay, and because there's not like a checked individual, an individual that's really named to put that in check, then they're just going to swallow it all up and take everybody with them. And it causes so much family chaos, so much family confusion, so much family dissension that there are people who, siblings that don't even talk to one another anymore. Blood siblings grew up together, raised together, same parents. They're just so much at odds because one of those siblings has this dominant personality, this dominant, controlling way, and there's no check that's not going to stand for that. And oftentimes that's why people come and get attorneys. That's why people hire me, because you have to be able to stand in the gap. So when it comes to your estate plan, you have to be able to identify somebody who's going to stand in that gap for you when you're not here, especially if you're that person. Okay. Don't leave it up to chance. Put that person back in place. And then finally, when it comes to notifying the people, telling them where the plans are, right? So the people and the place, right? The right people, and tell them where the right place is so they can find it. It will provide a calm in the midst of, again, chaos that can occur at the moment of death, which no one knows when it's going to be. Everything might seem to be getting along well on a surface level, and family is at least cordial to each other. But once that death hits, things are different. Money comes into play, property comes into play, people's interests change. And sometimes they just get scared. They don't know what to do, and they rather not do anything and just hoping it goes away, and that never happens. Okay. So that's why having the right people for certain is necessary, because they'll be able to make decisions no matter what, and they'll be able to make just and honest decisions. And when it comes to having your plan in place, they'll be able to follow it on principle, nothing personal, but they will be able to carry that out for the peace that you desired for the family. Okay. So as we go into this joyous holiday season, remember this, that there is a peace and this power. Okay. And there is a sacrifice if you just neglect it and rather not do it and put it off until later. You never know when later is coming. You never know if later is coming. So don't take it for granted. Once again, this is December 20th. We're going into another Christmas season, another new year. From all of us here at Patterson Justice Council here in Detroit, from myself, Attorney Patterson, we wish you a Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Year's. All peace and prosperity to you and yours as we go into this new year of 2024. We will be back next week. We'll see you again. We'll do the same New Year's wishes for you then. But until then, take care.